Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarini Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Ramo Hare Hare Jayo Radha Govinda Shri Radhe Jayo Gauranitai Jayo Gauranitai Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Gurudev हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। गुरु महाराज जी की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतिरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजाता सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त श्रीराधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्रीराधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, welcome you all to today's discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, pranams Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Dandavat
Dandavats,
Pranams.
Dandavats, Mataji's, Prabhuji's. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavats, Mataji. So we were discussing in the last part of the earlier chapter, previous chapter, chapter number 7, the scheduled incarnations of the Lord. Lord Brahma asking Narada Muni, after describing the activities of all these incarnations, including Manvantar Avatar and Leela Avatar and Guna Avatar, etc., that he should preach this message of Krishna Katha iti sankalpya varnaya, with determination, with a resolute determination and plan to various people, to various living entities in this world. And without this proper sankalpa, without a proper determination, if we try to spread the message of Krishna consciousness, it would still be beneficial, but it won't be as beneficial as it would be with a proper plan. So even at ISKCON Mangalore, we see Namanishta Prabhuji has worked so hard to come up with a very systematic plan of preaching Krishna consciousness by designing level 1, 2, 3, 4 courses on Bhagavad Gita, and then Bhakti Shastri and Bhakti Vaibhav courses, Bhakti Sadachar, etc. So this preaching needs to be done in a systematic manner with a proper planning and determination. And Lord Brahma is asking Narada to utilize what he has heard from Brahmaji in terms of various activities of various incarnations of the Lord to preach Krishna consciousness. And then the question may arise that is this message of Krishna consciousness or the activities of Lord Shri Krishna directly, should we jump to those activities alone? And this briefly we touched upon even in the last discussion, that how sometimes people in the premature state of devotional service, sometimes they want to gain access to directly Lord Krishna's interactions with his internal energy. But we discussed how, we even discussed in the case where Vyasadeva, after meditating on the Supreme Lord based on the instructions of his spiritual authority, spiritual master Narad Muni, heard the darshan of the Lord along with Vilajja Manaya, along with the Maya Shakti, who was standing very ashamed of herself behind the Lord as a shadow potency. And there also we discussed how it is very, very important to understand the workings of the external energy of the Lord, interaction of the Lord with the external energy, Maya Shakti, before we can appreciate the interaction of the Lord with his internal potency, the Ladini Shakti. So we would start with this particular quotation by Srila Prabhupada. It's actually part of the purport of text 53 from the previous chapter. So those devotees, Prabhuji's Mataji, who would like to read through, please keep your hands raised. Rohini Mataji, Hare Krishna. Rohini Suvimala Mataji, Hare Krishna. Yes,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Yeah. Srila Prabhupada Vacha. Importance of hearing about Lord Krishna's interactions with his external energy. Fanatics or fools may consider the Lord's activities in relation with the external energy to be useless for them, and they may falsely claim to be higher participants in the internal energy of the Lord. But factually, the Lord's activities in relation with the external energy and the internal energy are equally good. On the other hand, those who are not completely free from the clutches of the Lord's external energy should devoutly hear regularly about the activities of the Lord in relation with the external energy. They should not foolishly jump up to the activities of the Lord's internal energy, falsely attracted by such activities as his Rasalila. The cheap reciters of the Bhagavatam are very much enthusiastic about the activities of the Lord's internal potency, and the pseudo devotees absorbed in the material sense enjoyment falsely jump to the stage of liberated souls and thus fall down deeply into the clutches of the external energy. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.7.53 purport. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. So here, Srila Prabhupada is stressing that for a conditioned soul, hearing about Lord's interaction with the Maya Shakti, external energy, is much more relevant while the person is still under the influence of Maya. And if such persons directly try to jump to the Lord's interactions with his internal energy, like Rasa Lila, etc., then one would derive completely wrong conclusion, and one can fall into the clutches of the external energy, the Maya Shakti. So rather than cleansing our heart in such an unclean state, if we directly approach such esoteric pastimes, it can in fact contaminate the heart even more and not have the desired effect. So with this as the background, with Shukadev Goswami referring to the Brahma Narada Samvada in order to answer the queries by Maharaj Parikshit. Now we come back to the earlier conversation that was between Shukadev Goswami, Brahma's conversation with Narada Muni. Then we come back to the earlier conversation, which is the questions posed by Shukadev, Parikshit Maharaj to Shukadev Goswami. So majorly, Parikshit Maharaj wanted to understand the Srujana Shakti, the creative potency of the Lord, and Shukadev Goswami referred to the Brahma Narada Samvad, where Lord Brahma, after answering all the inquiries made by Narada Muni, he does narrate the description of the pastime various scheduled incarnations who appear at different point in time during the lifetime of Lord Brahma. So then we have further inquiries by Maharaj Parikshit to Shukadev Goswami, where Maharaj Parikshit inspires Shukadev Goswami to further speak about Lord Krishna. And specifically, he is referring to this Brahma Narada Samvad, wanting to understand how did Narada Muni utilize upon this hearing of Krishna Katha from Lord Brahma to preach the message of Krishna Katha, the way Lord Brahma had instructed him in the earlier verses like 2.51, 2, etc., where Lord Brahma specifically asked Narada Muni to preach with determination. Parikshit Maharaj was very interested in knowing how did Narada Muni leverage upon this message that he had heard from his spiritual master and father. So we'll recite the verse. Raja Uvacha Raja Brahmana Chodito Brahman
Brahmana Chodito Brahman
Gunakhyane Gunasya Cha. Actually, it is agunasya cha. Because of sandhi joint between the two words, it looks like gunasya cha. So gunakhyane agunasya cha, as you see in the translation. Yasmai yasmai yatha
Yes.
narado deva darshanaha.
Narado Deva Darshanaha.
So Parikshit Maharaj is asking, Yasmai Yasmai Yatha Praha. That means, what were Narad Muni's preaching exploits? To whom all did he meet and narrate these activities of the Supreme Lord, various incarnations of the Supreme Lord that Lord Brahma described? So, who all Narad Muni preached this message to? That is the inquiry of Parikshit Maharaj. Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes,
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada ki Jai. King Parikshit inquired from Shukadev Goswami, how did Narad Muni, whose hearers are as fortunate as those instructed by Lord Brahma, explain the transcendental qualities of the Lord, who is without material qualities, and before whom did he speak?
Thank you.
Purport. Devarshi Narada was directly instructed by Brahmaji, who was also directly instructed by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the instructions imparted by Narada to his various disciples are as good as those of the Supreme Lord. That is the way of understanding Vedic knowledge. It comes down from the Lord by disciplic succession, and this transcendental knowledge is distributed to the world by this descending process. There is no chance, however, to receive the Vedic knowledge from mental speculators. Therefore, wherever Narad Muni goes, he represents himself as authorized by the Lord, and his appearance is as good as that of the Supreme Lord. Similarly, the disciplic succession, which strictly follows the transcendental instruction, is the bona fide chain of disciplic succession. And the test for such bona fide spiritual masters is that there should be no difference between the instruction of the Lord originally imparted to his devotee and that which is imparted by the authority in the line of disciplic succession. How Narad Muni distributed the transcendental knowledge of the Lord will be explained in later cantos. It will appear also that the Lord existed prior to the material creation, and therefore his transcendental name, quality, etc., do not represent any material quality. Whenever, therefore, the Lord is described as a guna or without any quality, it does not mean that he has no quality, but that he has no material quality, such as the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance, as the conditioned souls have. He is transcendental to all material conceptions, and thus he is described as a guna. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mother. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
So here it is mentioned that Narada Muni's appearance is as good as the Supreme Lord. Why? Because the Supreme Lord instructed the knowledge of devotional service to Lord Brahma, and Narada Muni received the same knowledge as it was described by the Supreme Lord from Lord Brahma to himself. So that's why, because the via medium is very transparent, so the appearance of Narada Muni and the impact that Narada Muni's teachings have are mentioned as exactly same as the effect one would derive by hearing from the Supreme Lord. Can we think of any example, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, where Supreme Lord wanted to grant his audience or mercy to a living entity, and instead of going by himself, he first sent his representative, Narada Muni, in order to reciprocate with the sincerity of that particular personality? Any specific person Lord Krishna sent Narad Muni to? Many are there, but any examples?
Like are you talking about like Mrigari Ratnakar or someone different? Is your question?
Mrugari, yeah, so there can be many examples. So my question is, a particular personality wanted to approach the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Lord, while reciprocating with the endeavors of that personality and the sincerity of that person, instead of appearing himself, first sent his representative.
Like
And
Dhruva, you mean?
Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva
Oh.
Maharaj. So we see that Suniti, Dhruva Maharaj's real mother, she guided Dhruva Maharaj to go to the forest and try and approach the Supreme Lord. But Supreme Lord, wanting to reciprocate and specifically test the sincerity of Dhruva Maharaj, sent his representative. Or other example, like Mataji mentioned, is Mrugari. So whenever the Lord wants to interact or reciprocate with his devotees, many a times he does send his representative, and that sending of representative is also a reciprocation of the Lord. Like even in the case of Prithu Maharaj, when there was a misunderstanding between Prithu Maharaj and Indra about Prithu Maharaj conducting the 100th Ashwamedha sacrifice, where Indra mistook it as Prithu Maharaj's desire or endeavor to occupy Indra's post. And then the Brahmanas, they decided to punish Indra, and he was being pulled from any and every direction wherever he was going towards the sacrificial arena. And ultimately the plan to put Indra in that sacrificial fire and finish him off because of his misdeeds. But then the Supreme Lord, in order to pacify and explain to Maharaj Prithu about the misunderstanding, he sent Lord Brahma, another of his authorized representative. And when Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu saw that Prithu Maharaj was so obedient to the order of Lord Brahma, that, my dear Prithu, this Indra is very much attached to his position. Anyway, you are not doing these Ashwamedh Yagyas for occupying the post of heaven, the Lord of the heaven, but you have been performing it for the prosperity of your kingdom and the king's men. So fine, you have conducted 99, that is good enough. Stop this 100 sacrifice. And Prithu Maharaj immediately was very obedient to Lord Brahma's explanation and instruction. And being pleased with Prithu Maharaj's obedience to the instruction of Lord Krishna's representative, Lord Krishna himself appeared in the sacrificial arena in person, though he was not obliged to as such. But seeing the obedience to the will of Lord's representative, Lord became very, very pleased. Similarly, we see when Lord Krishna wanted to reciprocate with the sincere collective endeavor of the Prachetas, he did send his representative or expansion in the form of Lord Shiva, who taught Prachetas the process of devotional service in the form of Rudra Gita, how to approach the Supreme Lord. And so that was, so the point is, Lord's reciprocation with the devotees need not always show up in the form of Lord appearing himself. Many a times, Krishna prefers to send his own pure representative like Narada Muni or Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva. All of these are Mahajanas or exemplary devotees in devotional line. So here also we see that Parikshit Maharaj is very inquisitive about knowing that after Narad Muni has received this message about the activities of the Lord, what were his preaching exploits? Yasmai, Yasmai, Yatha Praha. To who all he did interact with to share this message about the Supreme Lord. Parikshit Maharaj was very eager to know. Any question, Prabhuji's Mataji's? Is this point clear? What is the mood behind Parikshit Maharaj making this inquiry about Narad Muni?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes,
Hare.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Prabhu, just one doubt in this line. So is that the reason why Narada is addressed as Bhagavan?
Yes, so there are quite a few personalities at different places in Bhagavatam who are addressed as Bhagavan, many great, including Shukadev Goswami, Lord Brahma, Narada Muni. So this word is used to sometimes glorify great
Why,
devotees
Prabhu?
of the Lord. As
But why? Is it because they are talking the preachings of the Lord?
yeah, because they are sincerely, they are the true via medium of Lord Krishna's message. So pure devotee of the Lord is glorified as good as the Lord. So although this Bhagwan qualitatively it fits the Supreme Lord alone, but sometimes it is used to address the great devotees.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Krishna. So now we proceed. So we are continuing with Parikshit Maharaj's inspiring Shukadev Goswami to speak further Harikatha. So what he says next? Etat veditum ichhami
एतद्वेदितुमिच्छामि
tatvam tatva vidam vara
तत्त्वं
Tattvam
तत्त्वविदां वद
Tattvavidam
Vara
harer adbhuta viryasya
हरे
Hare Adbhuta
अद्भुतवीर्य
Virasya
katha loka sumangalah.
Katha
Kataloka
Loka
कथालोकसुमङ्गलः
Sumangala.
Sumangalaha.
So Parikshit Maharaj is expressing his desire to know all of that adbhuta harer viryasya, to know about the glories of the Supreme Lord, the chivalrous activities of the Supreme Lord, because that harikatha is beneficial for the entire mankind, not just for the devotees. And what is the word that is used to explain that this harikatha is auspicious for the entire mankind? So it is non-sectarian. The word that is used is Loka Sumangalaha. It is not mentioned that Katha Vaishnava Sumangalaha, not just for the devotees. It means even for the non-devotees, even for the atheist, even for the materialist, even for the Mayavadis and all classes of people. Loka means all classes of people in general. This discussion about the chivalrous activities of the Lord is very, very beneficial. Gita Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
That pronouns.
Then
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The king said, I wish to know narrations concerning the Lord who possesses wonderful potencies are certainly auspicious for living being in all planets. Purport. Srimad Bhagavatam, which is full of narrations of the activities of the Supreme Lord, is auspicious for all living beings residing in every planet. One who takes it as belonging to a particular sect is certainly mistaken. Srimad Bhagavatam is certainly a very clear, dear scripture for all the devotees of the Lord, but it is auspicious even for the non-devotees also, because it explains that even the non-devotees hovering under the spell of material energy can be delivered from such clutches if they hear the narration of the Srimad Bhagavatam with devotion and attention from the right source representing the Lord by disciplic succession. Hare Krishna.
thank you, ma'am. So here it is mentioned, even the non-devotees would benefit if they give a sincere audience to the narration of Srimad Bhagavatam. Can we think of any example, Prabhuji's Mataji's, where a non-devotee has got benefited? Yes. Any example? There are many such examples, but any one we can think of? Those devotees who have not answered. Divya Rukmini Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, Ratnakar, who became
Ratna-
Valmiki.
Yes.
That example went.
Yes, so Ratnakar, who Valmiki was in his earlier part of his life, who was a highway robber. So he, hearing the message about the Supreme Lord from Narada Muni, he became a great devotee. He went on to become a great devotee. Yes,
Prabhuji, it's not even humans, isn't it? Even
Mm.
Preta can get
yeah, that example of Dhundukari,
Dhumari and
who was in a ghostly body. He achieved Vaikuntha form by hearing from Gokarna, his brother. Who else? We see in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, who was a great Brahmavadi, who was a great follower of the impersonalistic school of thought. He became completely transformed. His heart became completely transformed by hearing from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was playing the part of a great devotee. That Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya himself agrees or admits in front of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that you making so many people Krishna conscious is not very astonishing. Why? Because even a dry cake-like heart of myself, who was a Brahmavadi, Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya is admitting, it became soft and transformed to take up devotional service by hearing of Krishna Katha and explanation on Vedanta by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is one example of a person who was not on the platform of devotional service. I don't want to call non-devotee, but he was certainly a Brahmavadi, not a follower of the Bhakti Marga. Anyone else you can think of?
Earlier, 4 Kumaras also.
They were correct. So 4 Kumaras, they were also Gyanis, and similarly Shukadev Goswami, he was also on the path of Jnana. That 4 Kumaras, their hearts were transformed into becoming great devotees of the Lord, firstly by smelling the tulsi leaves that were offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, and Shukadev Goswami through hearing of those verses describing the qualities of the Supreme Lord, the merciful nature of the Supreme Lord. Hearing those 2 verses, Shukadev Goswami's heart transformed and he wanted to hear more about the Supreme Lord in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. Any other example? Yes,
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji.
I can also think about Krishna himself saying about it, isn't it, Prabhuji, in Bhagavad Gita, where he tells that even those who do not understand this to Arjuna, those who hear also will also get benefited out of Bhagavad Gita.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
So that itself is the highest teaching we have heard. So the best example of that.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And just one point I missed to show this slide about understanding Lord Krishna's interactions with the external energy. This point is also glorified in at the very fag end of 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which deals with Vedic cosmology, how the planetary systems have been designed and the different types of hellish planets and all that. So this is the, I believe, third last verse of the 5th canto, where Shukadeva Goswami mentions that whatever I have described about the process of Sarga and Visarga in the 2nd, 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam and the Vedic cosmology explained in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, this is part of Lord's interaction with his external energy. And only when we understand this, we can be ready or qualified to understand Lord Krishna's interaction with the internal energy. So we proceed. Any question, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, how Srimad Bhagavatam is non-sectarian? It is applicable for devotees, non-devotees, everyone. There is just one qualification. What is that qualification? What the person needs to do? Whoever is to get benefited. What is the qualification for that person? He needs to give a sincere audience to the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. As soon as one is giving a sincere audience, whether the person is a non-devotee or a Mayavadi or a Jnani or anything else, he would still get benefited if one sincerely hears. Can we proceed? Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, okay. Text 3. Kathayasya Mahabhaga.
Kathayasya
Bhava
Kathayasva Mahabhaga.
Kathayasva Mahabhaga
Yathaham Akhilatmani.
Yataham Akhilatmani
Krishne Nivesha Nihasangam.
Krishne Niveshya Nihasangam
Manastyakshe Kalevaram.
Manasyakshe Kalevaram.
And here Parikshit Maharaj clearly explains what is the effect if one gives sincere audience to hearing about Lord Krishna, and what would be the effect. Manastyakshe Kalevaram. Krishne Nivesha Nisangam Manastyakshe Kalevaram. Kalevaram means this body. So whenever a person is about to relinquish his or her body, the remembrance of the Lord would come up very naturally for a person if he or she has heard about the activities of the Supreme Lord regularly in his or her life and even describe those activities. For such a person, remembrance of the Lord will come very naturally. Excuse me 1 second. Gunavati Mataji, Hare Krishna, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna. On Pravish to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. O greatly fortunate Sukhdev Goswami, please continue narrating Srimad Bhagavatam so that I can place my mind upon the Supreme Soul, Lord Krishna, and being completely freed from material qualities, thus relinquish this body. Should I continue, Prabhuji?
Yeah, yes, Mataji.
Purport. To be fully engaged in hearing the transcendental narration described in the text of Srimad Bhagavatam means to constantly associate with the Supreme Soul, Sri Krishna, and to constantly associate with the Supreme Lord Krishna means to be liberated from the qualities of matter. Lord Krishna is like the sun, and material contamination is like darkness. As the presence of the sun dissipates darkness, constant engagement in the association of the Lord Sri Krishna frees one from the contamination of material qualities. Should I continue, Prabhuji?
Sorry, Gunavati Mataji, there was some disturbance. This is a very important part. Can you read again the highlighted part?
Sure,
To be
Prabhuji.
fully.
Sure, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Purport: to be fully engaged in hearing the transcendental narration described in the text of Srimad Bhagavatam means to constantly associate with the Supreme Soul, Sri Krishna, and to constantly associate with the Supreme Lord Krishna means to be liberated from the qualities of matter. Lord Krishna is like the sun, and material contamination is like darkness. As the presence of the sun dissipates darkness, constant engagement in the association of Lord Shri Krishna frees one from the contamination of the material qualities.
Thank you, Mataji. So, can we think of any place in Srimad Bhagavatam where we did hear a similar conclusion by a devotee, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, that seeing Lord Krishna means no more seeing the contamination or no more having to see the XYZ. What is that verse?
Kunti Devi.
Kunti Devi, very nice. Yes, Prabhuji. What is that verse? Vipada santu ta shashwat tatra jagadguru. Bhavato darshanam yasyar apunarbhava darshanam. That seeing Krishna means no more seeing the repetition of birth, death, old age, and disease. So this is Kunti Maharani offering her prayers in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So here Parikshit Maharaj is saying that if we hear about Krishna, then that hearing itself means in-person association with the Supreme Lord. And whenever we associate in person with the Supreme Lord, then we are totally freed from the material contamination. No more seeing the material contamination. Yes, Mataji, please proceed.
Contamination by the material qualities is the cause of repeated birth and death, and liberation from material qualities is transcendence. Maharaj Parikshit was now a realized soul by the secret of liberation through the grace of Sukdev Goswami, for the latter had informed the king that the highest perfection of life is to be in remembrance of Narayana at the end of the life. Maharaj Parikshit was destined to give up his body at the end of 7 days, and thus he decided to continue remembering the Lord by his association with the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam, and thus to quit his body in full consciousness of the presence of the Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Soul. Should I continue?
Yeah, please continue.
The hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam performed by professional men is different from the transcendental hearing of Maharaja Parikshit. Maharaja Parikshit was a soul realized in absolute truth, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The fruitive materialist is not a realized soul. He wants to derive some material benefits from his so-called hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam. Undoubtedly, such an audience hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from the professional men can derive some material benefit as they desire. But that does not mean that such a pretense of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam for a week is as good as the hearing of Maharaj Parikshit. It is the duty of the same to hear Srimad Bhagavatam from a self-realized soul and not be duped by professional men. One should continue such hearing till the end of one's life so that one can actually have the transcendental association of the Lord and thus be liberated simply by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Maharaj Parikshit had already given up all his connection with his kingdom and family, the most attractive feature of materialism. But still, he was conscious of his material body. He wanted to be free of such bondage also by the constant association of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So we see quotation by great acharyas like Sanatan Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrut Sindhu, where Sanatan Goswami quotes from Padma Puran to say how Srimad Bhagavatam should always be heard from an authorized representative of the Lord coming in disciplic succession. So this verse is that quotation where it is mentioned, A Vaishnava Mukhodgirnam Putam Hari Kathamritam Shravanam Naiva Kartavyam Sarpochishtam Yatha Payaha. Just like a payas or a kheer, a milk preparation, when it is, although it is very palatable, it is very tasty, when it is touched by the lips of the serpent, it is no more fit to be consumed by human being. Similarly, when Srimad Bhagavatam is coming from the mouth of non-devotees, we should not hear such professional recitation. Those personalities who recite Srimad Bhagavatam just to fill their belly or manage or sustain their family as a means of livelihood, that hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam is not very much recommended. In fact, even when we are hearing from the Vaishnavas, there are certain sections of Srimad Bhagavatam where the Falashruti is mentioned. Like, for example, let me see, 1 second, let me stop sharing for a minute. Yeah. Just like, for example, even within Srimad Bhagavatam, there are certain Falashrutis that are mentioned, like Dhruva Maharaja's pastime. It is mentioned that it would benefit a listener by giving a very long life, or the pastime of churning of the milk ocean. It is mentioned that it would give a very long life plus prosperity, etc. Or hearing about Prahlad Maharaja's pastime, it is mentioned that it would get rid of fearful existence for a living entity. So even these type of Falashrutis have been mentioned, given by Shukadev Goswami, and these Falashrutis can be obtained as a byproduct, though that is not our primary goal. But when we hear from a professional reciter or a materialist, then that message will not penetrate within our heart. We should always try to hear from a bona fide representative coming in disciplic succession. And Parikshit Maharaj is specifically requesting Shukadev Goswami to continue speak Harikatha so that he is able to develop remembrance of the Supreme Lord through this process of hearing and chanting, through this process of Shravanam and Kirtanam. Only when Shravanam and Kirtanam is good, the remembrance, Smaranam, will be good. This point have we heard? Remember earlier, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Only when Shravanam, Kirtanam is proper, the Smaranam will be proper, the 9 processes of devotional service. So if we want to have proper remembrance of the Lord, we have to have regular, proper hearing about the Supreme Lord and chanting, discussing those activities as well. Where have we heard about proper Shravanam and Kirtanam leads to proper Smaranam? Yes, Prabhuji's, Mataji's?
Right
Try-
at the beginning, Prabhu. Right at the beginning.
Right at the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam in text.
First
1
canto.
to, oh yeah, first canto, first chapter. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. And we also heard in the story of Srila Prabhupada when he was a householder, how he was very, very eager to always hear from his spiritual master. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur remembered this quality of Abhay Babu. And when Srila Prabhupada, his name was Abhay Charan De, when Abhay Babu's name came for initiation, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur remembered this quality. Yes, I have noted that he likes to hear and he can be recommended for initiation. Even, similarly, we also see this is one of the songs composed by Srila Prabhupada when he was traveling by the cargo ship Jaladuta in August of 1965. So there is one particular stanza in this particular song, which is text 9 of this, stanza 9 of this song. So I don't know the proper meter, how this is sung.
Prabhu, Lalita Mataji sings very well. Can you call her for that, if that's okay? Then?
Yes, ma'am.
Lalita.
Hare Krishna, Lalita Vinodini Mataji. You want to try?
Lalita Mataji.
Fine, if she's busy or
Okay, sorry, Prabhu. Yeah.
No problem. No. So here in this stanza, Srila Prabhupada composes Aji se suvidha hala tomara smarana bhela boro ashi dakhilam tai. So in this he is writing or composing that, my dear Lord, today that remembrance of being with you came to me in a very nice way. So such great devotees of the Lord like Srila Prabhupada or Parikshit Maharaj, because they are used constantly hearing about the Supreme Lord and discussing about him, chanting about him. So the remembrance of the Supreme Lord is also very nice, as we can see from this example, so from Srila Prabhupada's composition. So here Parikshit Maharaj is also aspiring to get a very good remembrance of the Supreme Lord, especially when Manas Tyakshe Kalevaram, when it is the time to give up the body, that means at the time of death, so that my remembrance of the Supreme Lord can come very nicely. My dear Shukadev Goswami, you please continue to narrate Krishna Katha. So everyone clear, Prabhuji's Mataji's, what is the secret of remembrance of the Supreme Lord? Yes, what is the secret?
Shravanam Kirtanam.
Shravanam Kirtanam, correct. Regular hearing about the Supreme Lord and discussing about him, chanting whatever we have heard. That is the secret of proper remembrance, as taught by Maharaj Parikshit. So we proceed. So this verse again gives the glories of the Shravanam, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Shunvata Shraddhaya Nityam.
Shunvayatam.
Nityam.
Grunantascha Swacheshtitam.
Grinatascha Swacheshtitam.
Kalena Atidirghena.
Kalena Natirghena.
Bhagavan Vishate Rudi.
Bhagavan Vishate Hrudi.
So the important part of this verse is Kalena na Atidirghena. That means not after very long, immediately or within a short span of time, Lord Krishna will himself come and reside within our heart. When he would come and reside within our heart, when we hear with Shraddha, with faith. Shunvata Shraddha Nityam. We hear with faith, Nityam, regularly. Grunantascha Swacheshtitam. And we absorb the subject matter. We receive the subject matter with Swacheshtitam. Swacheshtitam means with one's serious endeavor. Seriously, by one's own endeavor, when we receive the subject matter, then the Supreme Lord will come and reside very quickly within the core of one's heart and will cleanse the heart of all the misgivings. So this is a very similar verse, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, to another verse we have heard earlier or seen earlier, which is that verse. Kalena na atidirghena, that is the hint. So those devotees who have not answered, I would request Prabhuji's, Mataji's, please try to answer. Even if it is wrong, nobody would laugh or neither I would judge, but it is for your own benefit if you try to remember relevant verses, references. So where is it mentioned? Rati Prada Mataji, Prema Priya Mataji, Reena Mataji, Nityangi Mataji. I know you all know that verse. It's a very famous verse we have seen earlier, where it is mentioned that Lord will appear in one's heart without a further delay, immediately, within a very short span of time. Where it is mentioned? Let
Shrunotam Sakata Krishna Punyashravana Kirtana Hridayam Dasdevi Abhadrani
Vidunoti Surutsadam. Okay, thank you, Divya Rukmini Mataji. So that verse says that Lord Krishna would personally cleanse the misgivings from the heart of a devotee who gives sincere audience to Srimad Bhagavatam. But there is another verse where it is mentioned, not very far off, immediately Lord will...
Sravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam
Okay.
Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atmanivedam.
Okay, so these are the 9 processes of devotional service as given by Prahlad Maharaj.
Yes,
Right? So
yes,
let me 1 second.
What you actually want? Sorry.
Yes, Rasarangini Mataji, go ahead.
No, I just want to know what you actually want. So, I mean,
which is the verse which we have studied earlier, where it is mentioned, if we give sincere audience to the message of Srimad Bhagavatam without further delay, immediately within a very short span of time, Krishna will appear within the heart of such a devotee. So hang on.
Avyabcharena Bhakti Yogena Sevate.
So this is the verse, Prabhuji. Second verse, the last line of the second verse of
Bhagavatam. We knew this, but we could not relate it, Prabhu. So sorry.
No worries. So, Sadhyo Rudi Avarudhyatetra Kritibhi Sushrubi Tat Kshanat. Tat Kshanat means immediately, without further delay. Lord will appear within the heart of
That
is different. That is different, Mataji.
Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah. So, are you able to see the verse? Vani Mataji on the screen?
Yes,
Prabhu. Prochita, right, Prabhu? Is that the one? Correct?
112. 112.
Okay, correct.
Yeah. So the last part of this verse, it says, Tatra Krutibhi Sushrubi Tat Kshanat. That means without a further delay, immediately, whoever is giving sincere audience to this message of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord will be established within his or her heart. Right? So, anyone wants to recite the verse?
I'll go for this. Yeah, sure, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Dharma
Prochita Kaitavotra Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam Vedyam Vastavamatra Vastu Shivadam Tapatrayon Moolanam Srimad Bhagavatam Mahamuni Krite Kim Vyaparirishvara Sadhyoradaya Varudayatra Kritivi Shushrushubistakshanat. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
You can just read the translation, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. Conclusion, for the one who hears...
No, translation, completely.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagavata Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by great sage Vyasa in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. Haribol Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. So then the next question arises that Krishna is already residing within our heart as Paramatma. Then what is the meaning of Krishna will appear within one's heart immediately without further delay? what is the difference? Because Krishna is already residing as such, as
By,
Paramatma.
by devotional service, Prabhuji.
The realization, Prabhuji.
By doing devotional service.
Okay.
I mean, I read the purport, so I'm saying, Prabhuji.
So is it the two-handed Krishna form takes control of the situation rather than the four-handed Paramatma form?
Yes, that is very close. So the answer.
Prabhuji, can I?
Yeah. Yes, Murli Prabhu.
Yeah. The realization that it is Krishna who is present in our heart and we are not the one who is doing everything. I think that is the message we should learn from here, Prabhuji. That's
Thank
my
you.
answer.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, Mataji. Yes.
Anya Bhilashita Sunyam Jnana Karma Dhyana.
Okay, you are still in the verses, Mataji. The question asked is, what is the meaning of Krishna coming in one's heart? Because he's already there as Paramatma. So what is the meaning? So the meaning, as Mataji mentioned a while ago, is that Paramatma, although it is the expansion of the Lord, he is very neutral in general. We study in Srimad Bhagavad Gita that he is Upadrushta Anumanta. He is the observer and the sanctioner, but he doesn't interfere in the day-to-day activities of a living entity. He mainly observes, sanctions, and keeps a track record of the living entities' activities as one of the witnesses, right? But when we say Lord Krishna himself as Bhagavan, as the two-handed Shama Sundar, is entering a devotee's core of his heart, then Krishna is personally making sure that all the misgivings are cleansed. Like the verse you earlier mentioned, Vandita Mataji. Shrutam swakatham Krishna punya shravana kirtana Rudhyantastho hi abhadrani vidunoti surutsatam. Then, being pleased with such a devotee, Krishna personally takes it upon himself to cleanse all the misgivings within the devotee's heart. So, what is the meaning of Krishna appearing within the heart? It means Krishna appearing as Bhagwan or the two-handed form, not exactly as Paramatma, because Paramatma in his approach is very neutral towards a living entity, but Supreme Lord is very, very compassionate. So he would actively cleanse the heart of all the misgivings. Whereas Paramatma, he is mainly the witness and the sanctioner and the observer. So he doesn't interfere by himself. Is this clear, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? What do we mean by Bhagavan Vishate Rudhi? It means Krishna himself appears and cleanses the heart of the misgivings, not as a Paramatma, but as a Bhagavan. Any questions, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Hare Krishna, on this point?
So, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes,
Prabhu, sorry, Prabhu, can you show me that slide that you showed the Padma Purana one sloka, no?
Okay.
Avinashayanamu.
Yeah.
Avinashayanamu. Okay. Shravanam. One second, Prabhu, can I write it?
Yeah. No problem.
Mataji, Prabhu will be sharing the PPTs to us as well.
Sir.
You can take a screenshot.
Yeah, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, Prema Priya, Jayashri Mataji, you were saying something?
Yes, Prabhuji, already he is existing as pure-handed form in the heart. So when he is appearing, Vishate, I mean, he is coming as two-handed form, is it?
He is coming as a Bhagavan. He is coming as the Supreme Lord, not just as a Paramatma, and he would proactively act to cleanse the heart of the misgivings. Whereas when he is there as Paramatma, he is also there as Paramatma in the heart of demons and all. But he is very neutral in Paramatma form. But in Bhagavan form, he is very, very proactive in making the heart conducive for devotional service.
Okay, yes,
Prabhu, can I ask a very serious and but a doubtful question? I'm not sure if it is right. Prabhu, by now we've been hearing so long, so can we assume that Krishna has come already in our hearts?
Good
Sorry,
question. No. It's very practical question. To the degree that we give audience to Srimad Bhagavatam with faith, with the intention of purifying our heart, and not with any material intention. You might ask, what is the material intention? See, if we are trying to master Srimad Bhagavatam based on our own material prowess or mental, intellectual prowess, etc., then it would be very difficult to get full benefit. But if we are giving audience to Srimad Bhagavatam with the intention of purifying our heart so that it becomes a nice place for Krishna to come and reside and for us to advance in devotional service, to that degree, we would get benefited. So if we approach Bhagavatam intellectually, still there will be purification, but it will be gradual. But if we approach it with complete eagerness to purify the heart, the way Dhundukari approached, the way Parikshit Maharaj approached. Of course, Parikshit Maharaj was already a liberated soul, but Dhundukari's example is more appropriate. Or the way that young girl approached, who, when she heard that whenever the Supreme Lord's holy name is discussed, through that chanting of the holy names, the Parjanya or the rain would come. Next day when she came to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, she came with an umbrella. So the eagerness with which we approach, that would decide, Mataji, to what degree we would get benefited. But we have examples of personalities who have transformed their lives within a matter of days, like
Sometimes we may not think of cleaning the heart and all those groups. Sometimes we just hear because we enjoy listening. Will that also count in?
Yeah, exactly the same question was asked by one of the Matajis in the discourse I was referring to. And the Prabhuji, what answer he gave is that it's good hearing Srimad Bhagavatam in whatever way we may approach Srimad Bhagavatam with, but it would be much more effective if we approach it consciously with the desire for purifying one's heart. Because it's good that we have test, but say sometime the test is not there. Does it mean that we don't give it that seriousness or we don't give it that much priority? So test may remain one day or sometime may not be there, but that shouldn't affect our eagerness to hear. That was Prabhuji's point. So if we approach it consciously with the intention of purifying one's heart, the effect will be much more faster and effective.
Got it. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Can we proceed, Prabhuji's Mataji's? Everybody clear with this one point? Bhagavan Vishate Rudi. What does it mean that Lord appears within the heart? It means Lord appears as Bhagavan, who is very eager to proactively make the heart clean and very conducive for devotional service, not just as Paramatma. Paramatma is many a times neutral. Can we proceed, Prabhuji's Mataji's? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Text 5. Pravishta karnarandrena Swanam bhava saroruham Dhunoti shamalam Krishna Shali Salilasya yatha sharat. So here Parikshit Maharaj is admitting in front of Shukadev Goswami the effect what it creates if one sincerely hears Srimad Bhagavatam. That message of the Supreme Lord, it enters through one's karnarandrena, through one's ear holes, and swanam bhava saro ruham. And what is the meaning of swanam? According to one's liberated position, constitutional relationships, the Supreme Lord enters into the heart of such a devotee, of such a self-realized devotee, and sits on the lotus of his loving relationship. And what does the Lord do? Dhunoti. Dhunoti means cleansing. Dhunoti Shamalam Krishna. Shamalam means all the anarthas like lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, illusion, all the Shadripus, the 6 enemies. Lord Krishna personally cleans. What is the analogy that Parikshit Maharaj gives? Salilasya yatha sharat, just like the rainfall, just like the rainwater that falls during the sharat season, during the autumn season, how it cleanses the muddy river. So we all have experience of muddy river during monsoon season. The whole water appears like the color of the soil. That means the soil is totally mixed within the water. So here the analogy is given, just like autumnal rains cleans up such muddy water in the river. Similarly, this hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam also completely cleanses the heart of a hearer. So let's go through the purport and the translation. Lalita Vinodini Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It is said that
you can go through translation first.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The sound incarnation of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul, that is Srimad Bhagavatam, enters into the heart of a self-realized devotee, sits on the lotus flower of his loving relationship, and thus cleanses the dust of material association, such as lust, anger, and hankering. Thus it acts like autumnal rains upon pools of muddy water. Shall I continue, Prabhuji?
Yes, yes.
Purport. It is said that a single pure devotee of the Lord can deliver all the fallen souls of the world. Thus, one who is actually in the confidence of a pure devotee like Narada or Shukadeva Goswami, and thus is empowered by one spiritual master, as Narada was by Brahmaji, can not only deliver himself from the clutches of Maya or illusion, but can deliver the whole world by his pure and empowered devotional strength. The comparison to the autumnal rain that falls on muddy reservoirs of water is very appropriate. During the rainy season, all the waters of the rivers become muddy. But in the month of July, August, the autumn season, when there is a slight rainfall, the muddy water of the rivers all over the world become at once clear. By addition of some chemical, a small reservoir of water, like that of a metropolitan waterworks tank, can be cleared. But by such a tiny effort, it is not possible to clear up all the reservoirs of water like the rivers. A powerful, pure devotee of the Lord, however, can deliver not only his personal self, but also many others in his association. Shall I continue, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mata.
In other words, the cleansing of the polluted heart of other methods, like the culture of empiric knowledge or mystic gymnastics, can simply cleanse one's own heart, but devotional service to the Lord is so powerful that it can cleanse the hearts of the people in general by the devotional service of the pure empowered devotee. A true representative of the Lord, like Narada, Shukadeva Goswami, Lord Chaitanya, the 6 Goswamis, and later Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura and Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura, etc., can deliver all people by their empowered devotional service.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. So here, Parikshit Maharaj is giving example of cleansing by the process of devotional service by hearing from authorized representatives of the Lord, like all these names that are given, versus cleansing that happens from the process of jnana, which is empiric knowledge, or yoga, which is mystic performances. So what is the difference between the cleansing that happens through devotional service versus cleansing happening through the other processes of jnana, yoga, etc.? So the example is there, just like, I don't know whether you have experience in life, but I have during my student age stayed in places where getting a clean drinking water, it was a luxury. So I used to stay in a place where the water used to come unclean from the tap, which was muddy and all. And in order to cleanse the water, we used to dip alum. Alum, what is alum called in other language? Like in Marathi, it's called tuti. We get it in a medical store. So if we dip it in the water, keep it for half a minute and then take it up, then all the residues, all whatever is the dust and other unclean particles within the water, they would form a residue at the bottom of the pot, and the water will be okay for us to drink the top part, right? So these other processes of transcendental realization, spiritual realization, like the process of jnana and yoga, they are compared by Srila Prabhupada in the purport to cleansing water with this use of alum or with the use of chemicals. But what is the problem in this cleansing with the help of alum? Anybody who has used alum, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, can say what happens if we shake the pot slightly? What would happen? All the unclean things which were lying at the bottom of the pot, they would again come up and will mix with water. So again, you have to either repeat that process or wait for that unclean things to form residue at the bottom of the pot. Which means
filter, no, Prabhuji, we can filter it out.
Yeah, correct. But the example is given just to understand, explain the point, Mataji. It's not to be taken literally. So similarly, even with the other processes of jnana and yoga, while the cleansing of the heart can still happen, at the moment of distraction, even a momentary distraction can cause the person's heart to become turbulent and disturbed. Like we can see so many examples. Any examples comes to our mind for a yogi or a jnani who became disturbed by the slight disturbance? Like Vishwamitra, for example, that he had practiced yoga practices for such a long period, standing in the hot summer season with the fire made around his body, or standing in the deep neck ice cold water of Alaknanda during the winter seasons. So he had performed so many great austerities and the yogic sadhana, but when the slight distraction happened in the form of Menaka, Rambha, then he became disturbed and the distraction happened from the process. Or even for the Gyanis, like say for example, the Kumaras, when they were stopped from entering the Vaikuntha planets, immediately they became very disturbed and cursed the doorkeepers, Jai and Vijay. But in the case of a great devotee who is cleansed by the process of devotional service, even when there are distractions or there are provocations, like Srila Haridas Thakur getting provoked by the Maya herself or by the prostitute who came to distract him, he was not disturbed. So Bhagavatam explains this is the process of cleansing based on devotional service versus based on other paths of transcendental realization like yoga or jnana. That first difference is the cleansing by devotional service is very, very thorough, and the cleansing by the process of jnana and yoga is still relative. Like Prabhupada gives the example of using chemical or alum to clean the water. Now, this particular point is also explained by Shukadev Goswami in the beginning of the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Parikshit Maharaj asked the question at the end of the 5th canto that after hearing the description of hellish planet, Parikshit Maharaj asked that give me a method by which the conditioned souls can be saved from having to glide down to such hellish conditions of life. And Shukadev Goswami first explains the process of prayashchitta, which is based on the karma or karma kanda division way of life, that you do sinful activity and you perform cleansing act or act of repentance, prayashchitta. That Prabhupada gives the example, just like in the church, the worshippers, the believers, they go and ask forgiveness to the Father that I have committed this and this sinful activity, and the Father gives some process of cleansing that okay, you give this much donation or you perform this austerity to cleanse your heart. But the problem with the prayashchitta, what is the problem? Prabhuji's, Mataji's? What happens if one performs just prayashchitta?
Tend to do the mistake again, Prabhu.
Yeah, very nice. It does not relieve or get rid of the tendency to commit sinful activity again. That is the problem. And Parikshit Maharaj mentions the same problem to Shukadev Goswami. He says that it is just like an elephant taking bath in a river and then coming to the river shore, river bank, and rolling itself in the mud. There is no meaning to such bath. Why? Because the entire elephant's body again becomes unclean just after getting out of river. Similarly, the performer of the prayaschitta, their inclination to perform sinful acts again, it doesn't go away. So person commits sinful acts again and gets bound. So that is the problem with the prayaschitta way of cleansing. Then second way, and Shukadev Goswami is basically testing the sincerity of Parikshit Maharaj. So he doesn't approve or he doesn't agree with the process of prayaschitta because it doesn't stop the tendency to perform that sin again. Next, Shukadev Goswami mentions is the cleansing based on the process of jnana. So he says it is just like a forest of bamboo trees. If we want to annihilate or destroy, then we just burn the entire forest, and because of the dry bamboo leaves and all, entire bamboo forest will burn to ashes. And that way also the sinful reactions within the heart of a living entity can be destroyed with the process of knowledge. But what is the problem with this annihilating the bamboo forest using the process of burning? There is one problem. Yes, anyone?
All useful trees also will go away.
Very nice. That is one of the problem. Yes, what else? There is one more problem.
Ego?
Ego?
Yeah, we will come to know that we know all the jnana will come.
Okay, the person will become very proud. Okay.
Proud, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And there is one more. So if a bamboo forest is burnt, what would happen in the next monsoon season? Prema Priya Mataji? When there is a rainfall, what would happen? It would sprout again. Why? Because the roots are not burnt, right? Have you seen that if a bamboo tree, if you burned it even up till whatever portion you see above earth, it can still sprout whenever there is a favorable situation, whenever there is monsoon and rains. Have you observed that, Prabhuji's, Mataji's?
No, Prabhu.
Yeah? Okay.
Sorry,
Okay.
I mean, I didn't know.
No, that is fine. So say, for example, I'll give you another example. Say a few months ago, there was a drumstick tree which grew up in the garden in my residence place, and we had to cut it because these trees are very fragile and the branches can fall on their own during the heavy monsoon rains, and also it was causing security risk to the children playing around and all. But even though the tree was cut, still the branches are sprouting up as soon as favorable atmosphere is there. Why? Because it is not dead. It is simply the tree is cut, again it would sprout. So that is the problem. That means the cleansing that is done through the process of jnana, the contaminations can still come whenever the next favorable circumstances happen. It is not cleansing from the bottom, from the root itself. It is still on a superficial level. So is this example clear, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, what Shukadev Goswami mentions? What is the problem with burning the bamboo forest with the fire? It can sprout again whenever the next monsoon season arises. Next monsoon season comes. Is this clear? Are we still together? Is it too difficult?
No, clear, Prabhu.
Clear, Prabhuji.
Okay. So, but the process of cleansing using the devotional service, the example that Parikshit Maharaj gives, of course, we haven't ourselves experienced that. Salilasya yatha sharat. That means whenever autumn rain comes, that times all these muddy reservoirs of water, probably those of our ancestors like parents and all who have stayed near to the reservoir, they can vouch for that whenever autumnal rain comes, then the water becomes very clear, just like one can even see the bottom of the lake. It becomes so crystal clear. So Parikshit Maharaj is saying that when one hears the message of Srimad Bhagavatam coming from the mouth of a pure devotee, coming in disciplic succession, then Dhunoti Shamalam Krishna. Krishna will personally cleanse the heart of such a devotee, just like the autumnal rains, they cleanse a water reservoir of muddy water. So the examples, Prabhuji's Mataji's, are relative. Don't take it absolutely, but they are meant to enhance our understanding, increase our understanding. Is this clear, Prabhuji's Mataji's? Hare Krishna. Everybody is very quiet.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So then the next point comes, Prabhuji's Mataji's, what is the meaning? Oh Krishna, I forgot actually to explain this. What is the meaning or significance of the word swacheshtitam, which means by one's own serious endeavor? Swacheshtitam means, the way I just mentioned to Rasarangini Mataji a while ago, that we want to practice this process of hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, whether we have taste or whether we don't have taste in hearing. Say, for example, in hearing activities of Lord Krishna from first canto, from subsequent Leela Avtaras that are explained in Bhagavatam, like Lord Vamanadev, or great devotees of the Lord, Vritrasur, or fourth canto, Prachetas, their interaction with Lord Shiva. These activities may sound very palatable, but there can be discussions in Bhagavatam, like discussions about creation in the second canto, or about Virata Rupa in the second canto, third canto, or about cosmic manifestation in the fifth canto. They may seem a bit boring, but whether we like them or we don't like, if we perform serious endeavor to hear it for the purpose of purification of the heart, then through that process of serious endeavor, despite not having taste, we would get steadiness, nishtha, in our hearing. And what would be the result of that steadiness? We would get taste, eventual taste. So the taste that we have in terms of liking a particular portion, it is good, it is not bad, but we cannot rely on that taste alone. We have to develop real taste in hearing Harikatha, which means any part of Bhagavatam, even Krishna's dealings with the external energy of the Lord, we still hear it with that much faith and with that much eagerness and taste. That is called real nishtha, real ruchi. And when it will develop? When we perform serious endeavor despite not having taste. By performing this serious endeavor, we will proceed beyond anartha nivrutti to achieve nishtha and ruchi as well. So this is the meaning of swacheshtitam. That means one's serious endeavor. A practitioner of devotional service. So it should not be devotee, it should be devotional service. A practitioner of devotional service, he or she compensates for the lack of taste or laxity by the intensity of performing devotional service. That means whether we like or we don't like, we perform this activity on a regular basis, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam as a sadhana. Then our heart will be cleansed. We would get steadiness in our devotional service, and subsequently we would get real taste in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the meaning of swacheshtita. So, yeah, this alam example we saw, coming back to the 5th verse. Yeah, so similarly, there comes a verse even in the Narad Muni's conversation with Srila Vyasadev in the 1st canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Narad Muni mentions that while these processes of yoga can give relief from the misgivings, it is not thorough relief, and that type of relief is not able to give complete satisfaction to the to the soul. The soul can get complete satisfaction and cleansing only from the process of devotional service, not from the processes of jnana and yoga. Can we proceed, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Is it being too technical? Are we still on together? Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So we will recite a few relevant text here. Anyone would like to recite Prabhuji's Mataji's? Keep your hands raised. Prema Priya Jayashri Mataji.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. प्रायेण देवा मुनयः स्वमुक्तिकामा मौनं चरन्ति विजनेन पराथ निष्ठाः नैतान् विहाय कृपणान् विमुमुक्ष एको नान्यं त्वदस्य शरणं प्रमतो अनुपश्ये. Hare Krishna.
Translation.
Yeah. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. My dear Lord Nrsimhadeva, I see that there are many saintly persons indeed, but they are interested only in their own deliverance, not caring for the big cities and towns. They go to the Himalayas or forest to meditate with the vows of silence, Maunavrata. They are not interested in delivering others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be liberated alone, leaving aside all these poor fools and rascals. I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to shelter at your lotus feet. Srimad Bhagavatam 7.9.44. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you. So this is the second difference between the cleansing of heart that is done based on the process of devotional service versus the process of jnana and yoga. And what is the conclusion? What is the second difference, Prabhuji's Mataji's? That the practitioners of jnana and yoga platform, they are just more or less interested in their own salvation, in their own perfection in spiritual life. But a devotee of the Lord like Prahlad Maharaj, he is not just interested in perfecting his own life. In fact, he prays to Lord Narsimhadev that before he goes back to Godhead, let Lord Narsimhadev take all the fools and rascals to the spiritual world. Why? Because he says, even if I reside on this earthly planet, I am confident of practicing devotional service by constant remembrance of you. But these fools and rascals, the materialists in this world, they are very much interested in getting attracted to the Maya Shakti and getting distracted from the path of Krishna consciousness. So a devotee is very eager not only to go back to Godhead by himself, but show his compassion, mercy upon the fallen conditioned souls in this world. Whereas a practitioner of the Jnana or Yoga platform, typically they want to get out of the material world just by themselves. So Prahlad Maharaj says, Maunam charanti vijane na parartha nishtha. That these practitioners, they do Mauna Vrata because they don't want to get entangled by interacting with the materialist. Is this point clear, Prabhuji's Mataji's? Hare Krishna. What is the second difference? Yes, Prabhuji's Mataji's. Can I request everyone to unmute? It's very, it slows
Prabhuji.
down the pace of the class if devotees are very passive. Keep yourself active and lively so that, discussion is very lively. Yes, Murli Prabhu.
Yeah, the second difference, as you are saying, is that this is an individual benefit, but the Krishna consciousness, the devotional service is for the whole group, right?
Correct. Yeah.
It's scientifically it helps a lot of people at the same time, so it's more efficient. That's what he wants to.
Correct. And not just it helps everyone, the devotee is very compassionate, not just by himself to go back to Godhead. A devotee wants to take everybody, all the fallen conditioned souls, like Prahlad Maharaj wanted to take. Is this okay, Murli Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. That's clear.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we till now saw few differences. First one, we saw the cleansing by jnana and yoga. It is bit on a superficial level, and there can come distractions by which impurities can come again. Whereas the cleansing by the process of devotional service is very thorough. Second difference, we saw the practitioners of the jnana and yoga paths, they are bothered or concerned about their own perfecting their own lives, whereas the practitioners of devotional service, they are more concerned about the fallen conditioned souls, and they just don't want to go to spiritual world by themselves. They want to take all the fools and rascals also. So I have removed the photo on this slide because I wanted to keep the photo of Prahlad Maharaj offering prayers to Lord Narsingadev. So I will put it later on. Can we proceed, Prabhuji's Mataji's? Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Okay. Who was, I think Lalita Vinodini Mataji, you were reading.
Yeah.
You can read the highlighted part, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. The Lord is always within the heart of the living being, but he becomes manifested by one's devotional service. The idea is that devotional service to the Lord is the only method of cleansing the heart for good, whereas other methods may be superficially good for the time being. There is a risk of becoming muddy again due to agitation of the mind. Devotional service to the Lord with specific attention for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and always is the best recommended method for liberation from the clutches of illusion. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So the crux of Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhuji's Mataji, is in hearing. Okay. So of course, reading, studying is very important, no doubt. And Prabhupada mentions in other part of Bhagavatam that studying or reading is also a form of hearing. Why? Because we are hearing from our founder Acharya, and through Srila Prabhupada, we are also hearing from the predecessor Acharyas whose commentaries Srila Prabhupada has referred to, like Sridhar Swami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So these predecessor acharyas whose commentary Srila Prabhupada has referred to, we are hearing from them also when we study. But apart from study, we should try for regular hearing also, hearing of Bhagavatam. Text 6. Dhautatma Purusha Krishna
Krishna.
Padamulam namunchati Mukta Sarva Parikleshaha Pantha Swasharanam Yatha. Prema Priya Jayashri Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah. Read the translation. Yeah. A pure devotee of the Lord, whose heart has been cleansed by the process of devotional service, never relinquishes the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, for they fully satisfy him as a traveler is satisfied at home after a travel journey.
Thank you. 1 second. Let me see how big is the purport. Okay, we can read through the complete one.
Entire Prabhuji?
Yes.
Yeah. Purport. One who is not a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord Krishna is not completely cleansed in the heart. But a perfectly cleansed person never quits the devotional service of the Lord. In discharging such devotional service, as ordered by Brahmaji to Narada in the preaching of Srimad Bhagavatam, sometimes a representative of the Lord engaged in preaching work meets various so-called difficulties. This was exhibited by Lord Nityananda when he delivered the two fallen souls, Jagai and Madai. And similarly, Lord Jesus Christ was crucified by the non-believers. But such difficulties are very gladly suffered by the devotees in preaching, because in such activities, although apparently very severe, the devotees of the Lord feel transcendental pleasure because the Lord is satisfied.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
So here it is mentioned that during the discharge of devotional service for a devotee, when he is trying to preach the message of Godhead, there are different difficulties and troubles. Like Prabhupada gives the example of two examples he gives. One is Lord Nityananda in the subsequent part of the purport, and another example Prabhupada gives is Lord Jesus Christ. So for Lord Nityananda, just like when Nityananda Prabhu was trying to request each and every person to chant the holy name of the Lord, that was the instruction of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that go to each and every household and request everyone to chant the holy name of the Lord. But Jagai and Madai, they got very offended when Nityananda Prabhu requested them to chant the holy name of the Lord. And they became so offended that they tried to harm Lord Nityananda Prabhu physically, where Madai picked up an earthen pot and hit it very hard on the forehead of Lord Nityananda, and the blood started oozing out of the head of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. So Prabhupada is mentioning that such devotees of the Lord, when they are trying to preach the message of Krishna consciousness, sometimes they are troubled by such miscreants, like Nityananda Prabhu was troubled by Jagai and Madai, or Lord Jesus Christ, he was troubled by the non-believers at that point in time who crucified Lord Jesus Christ on the cross, and he had to give up his body but still begged forgiveness from the Lord for these miscreants, saying that, my dear Lord, please forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. But despite such troubles, a devotee like Lord Nityananda Prabhu or Lord Jesus Christ, he is never troubled. He is never. Why? The example is given that of a traveler. So in the previous ages, whenever a person used to go to far off distances for earning his livelihood, they were troubled by, like, sometimes the traveler doesn't get proper food. He has to go very long distance without having proper food and water. Many a times he doesn't have a proper place to sit, relax, and take rest nicely. So he goes through all these tribulations with the sole purpose that whenever he is in trouble, he thinks of what comfort would I be able to give to my family members when I return home, if I endeavor properly in this foreign trip. So immediately when the thoughts of his near and dear ones come to his mind, then that trouble is completely compensated for, is completely mitigated. Or the other example can be given, just like a common man who is earning his livelihood for the family. Though the common person goes through lot of tribulations through the month, he is all those tribulations he is able to compensate or mitigate by thinking of his wife and children, that when I get my monthly salary, when I hand it over to my wife and family, their needs would be fulfilled very nicely. So that particular thought of giving comfort and happiness to his near and dear ones comforts the person himself go through those tribulations. Similarly, for a devotee, it is mentioned that the thought of benefiting such fallen conditioned souls, it compensates for the tribulations or the troubles that the devotee meets in the discharge of his devotional service. Like Prahlad Maharaj, thinking about the welfare of the fools and rascals, requesting Lord Narsingadev, let them be liberated first. I am okay to stay back in this material world till the time every single fool is liberated. Or Lord Nityananda Prabhu is not minding being troubled or hit on the forehead. He mentions to Madhai and Jagai that it doesn't pain me as much that you have hit me on the forehead and my head is bleeding, as much it troubles me or as much it pains me to see you not chanting Lord's holy name. So if you chant Lord's holy name, I don't mind being hit on my head. But despite you people hitting on my head, you are still unwilling to chant the holy name of the Lord. That is very, very sad. So a devotee's concern is for the upliftment of the fallen conditioned souls in this world, just like a common man's concern is for the well-being of his wife and children. And in order to meet, achieve that well-being, he doesn't mind facing troubles in his job, in his work. Is this analogy clear, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Analogy
Prabhu.
of a traveler. So maybe we'll read the last part. Yes, Mataji, the example.
The example
Yeah.
set herein is very appropriate. A traveler leaves home to reach for wealth in far distant places, sometimes in the forest and sometimes on the ocean and sometimes on hilltops. Certainly, there are many troubles for the traveler when he is in such unknown places. But all such troubles are at once mitigated as soon as the sense of his family affection is remembered. And as soon as he returns home, he forgets all such troubles on the way. Hare Krishna.
You can read the last part
Yeah.
also.
A pure devotee of the Lord is exactly in a family tie with the Lord, and therefore is undeterred in discharging his duty in a full affectionate tie with the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So just like a common man thinks about his family and their happiness and doesn't mind taking inconveniences in order to give them comforts, a devotee of the Lord is bothered about all his brothers and sisters, all other children of the Lord, and he doesn't mind personally facing inconvenience in order to bring them back home, back to Godhead. That is the meaning of this analogy. Anyone has any question? Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Hare Krishna?
No.
All these analogies are very important because they have not been concocted. They have been given by great devotees like Parikshit Maharaj. So we should try to understand them best of our ability. Proof that cleansing of the heart performed by the process of bhakti is permanent and thorough. A pure devotee of the Lord never leaves the service of the Lord. They are always engaged in the service. Now, second point comes, Srila Prabhupada mentions that even a devotee of the Lord can sometime get distracted and leave devotional service for a moment. But his struggle, his suffering in that short phase is different than the struggle and suffering of a materialist. Do we agree with this fact, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Even if a devotee falls down, his struggle is different than a materialist. We
Yes,
agree?
yes.
Yeah. What is that verse? Maybe I forgot. Devarshi Bhutaptanunam. No, that verse says,
Correct.
yeah, that verse says that a person is not bound or obligated by any debts towards the forefathers or the devatas or the great rishis, etc. Whoever is engaged in serving the lotus feet of the Lord or engaged in devotional service of the Lord. But the point is, even during the course of these duties, a devotee does fall down, still there is no loss. This verse comes in the Narad Muni's instruction to Vyasadev in chapter 5 and 6 of first canto, that there is still no loss because Lord will quickly reinstate such a devotee on the platform of devotional service. So whatever this person suffers for a very short period of time, it is not like the suffering of the materialist. Suffering of the materialist is for ever because of being separated from the Lord. Can we proceed, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Hare Krishna?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, here in this verse, which is taken from the conversation between Narada Muni and Vyasadev, Narad Muni mentions, my dear Vyasa, even though a devotee of Lord Krishna sometimes falls down somehow or other, he certainly does not undergo material existence like others, fruity workers, etc. Because a person who has once relished the taste of lotus feet of the Lord can do nothing but remember that ecstasy again and again. That means Lord makes sure that even if such a devotee sometimes gets overwhelmed by the conditionings and leaves devotional service, he is reinstated back on the track very soon. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma. Quickly he becomes a righteous soul. Now, till here, we saw that Parikshit Maharaj has been inspiring Shukadev Goswami to continue to speak Harikatha. But then Shukadev Goswami needs what specific inquiry he wants Shukadev Goswami to answer. So from text 7 onwards, Parikshit Maharaj will ask different questions. Like sometimes we are invited to speak, like say, if sometimes say Prem Kishori Mataji asked me to speak in the morning class, or Rasarangani Mataji asked me to speak in the fast track class, then I need to ask which topic you want me to speak on, which verse or canto is currently being discussed, so that I can prepare myself and present accordingly. Similarly, while Parikshit Maharaj wants Shukadev Goswami to speak, Shukadev Goswami needs pointers which specific topic Parikshit Maharaj has questions on, or Parikshit Maharaj wants Shukadev Goswami to explain upon. So he is asking all those questions from text 7. So maybe we'll take few questions, text 7 onwards. Please try to repeat. Yat adatu mato brahman
Yad
Atha
adhatu
mato
mato
Brahman
deharambhosya dhatu
deharampo asya
Asya
dhatubihi
Dhatubihi
yadruchaya hetuna va
Yadrichaya
yadruchaya
Hetuna Va
bhavanto janate yata.
bhavanto janate
Janate
yatha.
Yata.
Anyone would like to read through Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Hare Krishna.
Can I, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Purport. No, translation. O Lord Brahmana, the transcendental spirit soul is different from the material body. Does he acquire the body accidentally or by some cause? Will you kindly explain this, for it is known to you?
Thank you.
Purport.
So before we go to the purport, some of the questions what Parikshit Maharaj is asking in this section from text 7 onwards, they are not exactly the questions resulting in discussion about pure devotional service. But still, Parikshit Maharaj is asking those questions. So question arises, why is he asking those questions? The reason is, there are not just people or personalities on the platform of pure devotional service in that audience in Shukatal. There are people or personalities who are following the path of karma mishrita bhakti, or who are following the path of jnana mishrita bhakti or yoga mishrita bhakti. So in order to deliver those souls, some of the questions that Parikshit Maharaj is asking, they relate to those personalities. So here, the first question that Parikshit Maharaj has asked, the transcendental soul is different from the material body. How does the transcendental soul acquire the material body first time? So does he acquire the material body accidentally, or is there any systematic arrangement because of which he has to accept this material body? Will you kindly explain this? So we would see in the purport. Mataji, you can read the complete purport.
Sure, Prabhuji. Purport. Maharaj Parikshit, being a typical devotee, is not only satisfied by confirming the importance of hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam from the representative of Brahmaji by disciplic succession, but he is still more anxious to establish the philosophical basis of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as such, all questions that may arise in the mind of a serious student must be cleared by the statement of the authority. A person on the path of devotional service may inquire from his spiritual master all about the spiritual position of God and the living beings From the Bhagavad Gita as well as from the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is known that qualitatively the Lord and the living beings are one. The living being in the conditioned state of material existence is subject to many transmigration by continuous changing of the material body. But what are the causes of the material embodiment of the part and parcel of the Lord? Maharaj Parikshit inquires about this very important matter for the benefit of all classes of candidates on the path of self-realization and devotional service to the Lord. Indirectly, it is confirmed that the Supreme Being, the Lord, makes no such material changes of body. He is spiritually whole, with no difference between his body and his soul, unlike the conditioned soul. The liberated living beings who associate with the Lord in person are also exactly like the Lord. Only the conditioned souls awaiting liberations are subjected to change of bodies. How was the process first begun? In the process of devotional service, the first step is to take shelter of the spiritual master and then inquire from the spiritual master all about the process. This inquiry is essential for immunity to all kinds of offenses on the path of devotional service. Even if one is fixed in devotional service, like Maharaj Parikshit, he must still inquire from the realized spiritual master all about this. In other words, the spiritual master must also be well versed and learn so that he may be able to answer all these enquiries from the devotees. Thus, one who is not well versed in the authorized scriptures and not able to answer all such relevant enquiries should not pose as a spiritual master for the matter of material gain. It is illegal to become a spiritual master if one is unable to deliver the disciple. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So the simple question that Maharaj Parikshit is asking, how did the living entity first acquire the material body? So the process of bodily engagement, how did it begin in the first time? So many a times people do have this question that how did we fall down from the spiritual world? And Srila Prabhupada does explain in the Bhagavad Gita purport that what is important for an intelligent man is to know how do we get out of the material world. No point tracing the origin, how the living entity came into the material world, because it's very, very difficult to trace. But that is the question of Maharaj Parikshit, that how was the process of living entity accepting the material body? How did it begin in the first place? How was it begun? That was the question. And we would see the subsequent questions as well in text 8 onwards next time around. And answers to these questions will be the subject matter of chapter 10, 9, 10, and even Canto 3. Those questions will be continued to be answered. And also, next chapter, as we'll discuss more as we approach that chapter, is very, very important, because Shukadev Goswami answers some of these questions by Parikshit Maharaj by giving reference to another conversation between Lord Brahma and the Supreme Lord Krishna. That happens at the beginning, where these inquiries by Lord Brahma have been answered by Supreme Lord in the form of 4 seed verses. These are called as Chatushloki Bhagavatam. So they are the seed verses of Bhagavatam, original Bhagavatam that was spoken by the Supreme Lord to Brahma. And then subsequently Brahma and his disciple Narada and his disciple Vyasadev, Shukadev Goswami, etc. They all elaborated on these seed verses further. So we'll first finish the questions and then we will see Shukadev Goswami's reply by giving reference to Lord Brahma and Lord Krishna's conversation. Okay? Any questions, comments, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Hare Krishna.
No question, but just 2 requests. One is Chatushloki Bhagavatam you had done for us in fast track. I've shared that also here. Is it possible for you to do in this session very, very slowly, like probably just a couple of...
Yes,
sure.
we'll do slowly.
That is all. Thank you.
Yes, Hare Krishna. And if you feel relevant, any other sessions, students, if they want to join, they can join also.
Okay,
Because
Prabhu.
that time we still had constraint to finish the 4 verses in one session.
Yes, Prabhu.
We'll try to go a bit more deep dive.
Great, Prabhu. So you let us know just like
Yeah.
2-3 days in advance, so I'll announce there so that those students can also join our session here just for the 4 shlokas.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thanks, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Any other
And-
questions, comments, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Feel free. If certain thing you are not able to grasp, or in case you need me to repeat, I don't mind. Okay? It's important that we understand rather than rushing through. All
Very
right.
clear, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. We'll stop here.
I'll stop like.
Vamcha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. And as we are concluding Prabhuji's Mataji's second canto, various activities are coming up. One is the group focus task, including presentations and all. So probably as we approach ninth chapter, I would explain a bit more so that you have sufficient time to form groups and prepare for the group activities. There are also section-wise tests coming up at the end of second canto. So we would need at least around period of 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks to cover all these activities before we proceed to third canto. So you can start.
Prabhuji,